I'm excited because, as I talked about in a previous video, I kind of shared a little bit about where I want my channel to go and some of the things that I want it to be about, the things that I love and what are important to me and what I want to share with you. So today I'm going to not show you a recipe, but that is where I'm going to be leading this channel to. But I want to share a little bit of what I do to preserve some of the recipes that are my favorites, my family's favorites, and some that have been passed down to me. And so I hope you'll enjoy this. I got into scrapbooking. I just started doing a little bit of scrapbooking. But one of the projects I worked on, because of my love for cooking and sharing recipes, when it was my very, very best friend, my bosom buddy friend, who we have been friends for since we were 14 years old, and our family's connections go back even further than that. It's so funny because I introduced her to her husband, and she introduced me to my husband, and my son's best friend ended up marrying their daughter because they met when it was my 50th birthday. So it's kind of a really neat little chain. So when it was my very best friend's 50th birthday, 11 years ago, wow, I put together a little scrapbook for her. And on her 50th birthday, I put together some of my favorite recipes, and I scrapbooked each page. Hopefully I can show you some of them. And some of recipes that I've shared with my best friend, and just some new ones. And I put this little book together for her birthday, and then I even made, for her 50th birthday, her surprise birthday party, I flew down to where she lives and put together one of the salad recipes that I also included in this little book. And I called this book, it was called Seasons Gatherings, and I wrote in it, we gather, we season, we serve, we scrap. This little book is a gathering of some of my favorite recipes. After trying some recipes, you will understand that really most good recipes are seasoned with love. Ingredients are important, but the magic is what you put into it. Gathering recipes seasoned with love and served with a joyful heart leaves no leftovers, but only scraps for this little season gathering scrapbook. And that's just something that I wrote up and created. And so I put this little book together. I wrote a little note to her that's called A Girlfriend's Forever, which is so true. This is called Riviera salad. Whoa, is this delicious. Now this salad, I actually got the recipe out of a gooseberry patch book, and it was in one of their Christmas editions. But that salad is so delicious, so refreshing. You can make it any time of year. So for her birthday, which was in April, I flew down there, and on her birthday we made this recipe many times to serve all the people that were there, and it's delicious. Anyways, that's a real special recipe, and that's one of the recipes I'm gonna make and film and show you, and I'm gonna take you step by step on how to caramelize those pecans because it's really easy. So also, I scrapped her a little page that has the recipe for best friend's coffee cake, crock pot stew. Whoops, there you go. And you can see some of these are really cute. Beer bread, great recipe, wonderful for summertime. It's so simple, easy. A bowl, flour, beer, butter, bake it. No rising. It's delicious. Crusty, buttery on the top, and the inside is just really rich with that nice yeasty flavor. That's probably the only time I really care for any flavor of beer. But this is called Kumar's tortilla soup, and this is my version, my recipe of how I make tortilla soup, and I am going to show that. This is called fresh corn salad, and this is really good in the summertime. It's fresh corn that just slice right off of the cob, and the combination might not sound too good, but it's got also red onion, vinegar, olive oil, kosher salt, ground black pepper, and basil leaves. And I'm telling you, the combination of basil and fresh corn, it's so good. One my family requests a lot. Lemon chicken, which is a favorite recipe of mine that I really like, which is lemon and honey. Bruschetta garlic toast. Creamy pistachio pudding. Stuffed burgers on the grill. Oh, so good. And Snicker taffy apple salad. This is a great recipe. This is one I have been making for years and years. And garlic round bread. And this garlic round bread really dates me back to when I was 20. I was invited to a friend's house for supper, and she fixed spaghetti, salad, and this garlic bread, and it was in a ring. She made it in a bundt pan, a bunt pan, and it's made with Pillsbury flaky biscuits, olive oil, butter, fresh parsley, garlic, and you make it in a ring, kind of like you do monkey bread. And after you bake it, comes out, you flip it over, and you just pull it apart, and it's crispy all on the outside and so buttery and really garlicky on the inside, and it's just delicious. So this recipe I actually got when I was probably 20 years old and 61, so do the math. So I've been making this recipe for that long, and it's just one of those things. You go to someone's house, they make something, and you say, gosh, that's delicious. This is called Kumar's Baked Ravioli Casserole. It's just how I put a casserole together with frozen ravioli. And this is peanut butter cookies. And then, of course, Caesar salad. And this Caesar salad recipe came from when I was living in Texas, and I was doing a little bit of daycare at home when I was a stay-at-home mom, and one of the families that I basically nannied for had a recipe in her one of her cookbooks, and I made it, loved it, and I keep it and make it. And then I kind of attached on the back her 50th birthday invitation that was sent out. And this was just an heirloom book. She loved it. She cried. I cried. It was so fun to put together because it's mostly recipes that I really loved, that I've shared with her, and it was for her, and I just wish I had time like that every day to be able to create something like this. Woo, just kind of got me emotional there. And then, next, I started working on a great, big, huge scrapbook. And as you can see, again, all about my family recipes, and I'm not finished. I started this, believe it or not, I started scrapping this, my gosh, 10 years ago. But working full time, it's just something to do to relax. And in this book, this one is called There's No Place Like the Kitchen Place. Now, not everybody agrees with that because some people just detest kitchen, but I know one thing we all have in common. We all love to eat, all of us. And a little bit about what I wrote up, and this page I dedicated to my dearest beloved father that I adore, and to my mother and to my grandparents and to my husband's grandmother. And look at this sweet little picture. This is the little my Noni, my mother's mother, who I just adored. And she was just the tiniest little thing, as you can see. She was barely 4'7", I think, maybe 4'8". She didn't even come above the stove, but she's my grandma that I loved. I loved. She's the grandma that would make me that really strong Italian coffee. She's the grandma that I watched making gnocchi, and she's the grandma I adored. So I have a little tribute to her, and just some of other little stories in here that I'm hoping on my channel I'm going to share with you. When my dad passed away, my aunt, my dad's sister, invited my mom and I, a week or so later over for dinner. And I'm going to kind of show you this page, but I'm going to cover up an envelope that's just sort of sitting right there because it's got addresses on it. But I scrapped this little page in tribute to that. And this little envelope, that's the envelope that I kept into the scrapbook, because that envelope was sent to me by my aunt. And less than a year later, my aunt passed away. And what she did was she had us for dinner, and she said, I decided to make what was your dad's favorite meal when we were growing up. And when Grandma would make it, he just loved it. And I'm like, really? What was that? And it was just called Italian bread cube steak. And so it was cube steak that she seasoned, and then she made a softened butter garlic with fresh parsley in it, garlic granulated, and then she spread it over Italian bread, and then she actually put it on the cube steak. And she broiled the cube steak under the broiler in the oven for a few minutes on each side, and then she put them right on top of the Italian bread that she had cut in half. And it was just so simple and so easy, and it was so delicious because she broiled and grilled that Italian bread till it was just so crusty, and then the juices from the cube steak just would filter down into the middle of that bread, and it was just delicious. And so I looked at my mom and I said, I didn't know that this was Dad's favorite recipe. I really didn't. We never had it. You never made it. And she just kind of looked at me and said, well, because I didn't know. And I'm like, oh, how do you not know that? So of course, I made it for my family and they loved it. And I'm like, I wish I would have known that. But what was really important is that I knew it after my dad had passed, and then within that year, my aunt had passed. And so what she did was she sent me in the mail a couple of other recipes that were their family favorites when they were growing up. And so I went ahead and I scrapped just a little note about how I came about that recipe. And it was so soothing to me and so heartwarming because it was something that my dad really, really loved. And I never knew it, but now when I do make it, I think about him. And I think about just the warmth that it brings me just to make that simple cube steak on Italian bread with garlic parsley butter. This is what my channel is going to also include. I'm almost done with this, and this is a work in progress for over 10 years. I have one more page to actually put together in Scrapbook, and it's actually one of life's true pleasures, mac and cheese. And it's my recipe for mac and cheese, and I'm going to show you how to do that one too. So I'm going to get this book done because to me, this is something I can pass down. It's an heirloom. So until next time, be kind, be humble, and age gracefully.